Okay, so good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Oh, man. Thank you very much for coming, for recording, and for being here. This week, Be'ezras Hashem, we have an action-packed Parshas Veyeira, which begins in 18-1 with the words, Veyeira Elav Hashem Be'elone Mamre. And Hashem appeared to him, to Avraham, in the plains of Mamre. V'yoshev Pesach HaOhel, while he was sitting at the entrance of his tent, Kechom Hayom, in the heat of the day. Now, why was it so hot outside? Rashi on the spot cites the Gemara in Bava Metzia, 86b, Kechom Hayom, in the heat of the day, Hotzi HaKadosh Baruch Hu Chama min Artika. Hashem took the sun out of its container, Shelo lahatricho ba'orchim, so that Avraham would not be bothered by guests. In other words, taking the sun out of its box or its container means there was a heat wave out there, no holds bar. No ozone layer protection. It was very hot. And so people, when it's that hot outside, who wants to venture outside? Rather stay indoors where it's cooler. In this way, Avraham, on the third day of his circumcision, won't be bothered by having to care for people in the midst of hospitality. But then Rashi continues from the Gemara, when Hashem saw that Avraham was pained that guests were not coming, Hevi hamalachim alav, Hashem sent angels to Avraham disguised as people with whom he can do the mitzvah of hospitality. Now this brings us to question number one. Hashem knew from the start that Avraham would be more pained by not doing the mitzvah of hospitality than the wound of his circumcision. I mean, that's why at the end he had to send the angels disguised as people. I've got a better idea. If Hashem knows the future, just don't bother taking the sun out of its container. Let it be a pleasant day outside. Let people go about their business. There'll be plenty of people with whom Avraham can do the mitzvah of hospitality. Why have to take the sun out? People aren't coming, but then send angels to substitute. Seems very strange. That is question number one. But the story continues in the next verse, number 2. Vayisa eina vayar, and he lifted his eyes and he saw. Avraham looked up and he saw. V'nei shlosha anashim nitzavim alav, and behold, these 3 men were standing over him. Who were these 3 men? Rashi, again from the same Gemara in Bava Metzia, says these 3 men weren't really men at all. They were angels disguised as men. Echad levaser esara. One of the missions, the first angel's mission, was to inform Sarah she was going to have a child in a year from this time. That was the job of Michael. Ve'echad lahafoch es Sodom. The second angel's task was to destroy Sodom and Amorah, etc. And that angel was Gabriel. Ve'echad larapos es Avraham. And the third angel's job was to heal Avraham, and that was the angel Raphael. Now this brings us to question number 2. I kind of understand why Michael is going to the home of Avraham. That's where Sarah is, to be told about the child she is going to have. I also get Raphael going to the home of Avraham, because that's where Avraham is, in order to be healed. Question 2 is, what in the world is Gabriel doing at the home of Avraham Avinu? Gabriel's job is to destroy Sodom. His job comes up later. There should only be 2 angels going to the home of Avraham. The third one should join along sometime on the way to Sodom. Then Gabriel should join the bandwagon. What in the world is Gabriel doing? What mission did he have to fulfill at the home of Avraham Avinu? And these are the 2 questions thus far that we are going to deal with today, Be'ezras Hashem. And let's at this point share a teaching from the Chassam Sofer in his Torah Moshe and in his Drashos, which he says answers question number 1. You want to know why Hashem brought or took the sun out of its container to begin with? There are alternatives. Just make a pleasant day. You'll have guests, real people, to do hachnosas orchim with. Says the Chassam Sofer, it is because in this storyline, Hashem was communicating with Avraham Avinu. Hashem was hinting to Avraham what was going to happen in the future. Hashem informed Avram, like I take the sun out of its container today, You should know at the end of days, by the Geula Shalema, the final redemption, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take the sun out of its container. History's going to repeat itself. Masa Avo Simin Labana, what happened to the patriarchs is a sign of what's yet to happen in the future. And when I take the sun out of its box in the future, it's going to be very, very hot. Like the prophet Malachi prophesied about in 3-19 in the book of Malachi, that day is going to be Boer Katanor, burning like an oven. What does the pasuk say? Kihine Hayom Ba. For behold, the day is coming, Boer Katanor, burning like an oven. What's going to happen as a result of this extremely intense, hot day? The Gemara says in Nedarim on 8b, the wicked are going to perish from that heat, says Reish Lakish. That's one accomplishment. It's going to be so hot, the wicked will just dry up, they'll wither away. However, says the Chassam Sofer, when Hashem takes the sun out of its container, not just is there an increase of heat, there's also an increase of light, another component which comes off of the sun. It means that there's going to be tremendous light, and it's not just physical light, it's representative of spiritual light. The light of Torah is going to fill the world. All people will be infused with Torah at that time. Many from the nations of the world are going to convert to Judaism, and the righteous from the nations with the Jewish people will be completely versed in Torah. We're going to know the Torah in its entirety. How do we know? That's what it says in Yirmiyah. In the book of Jeremiah, there's a prophecy about the end of days. It's found in chapter 31, verses 32 and 33. What does Yirmiyahu say? Nosati es Torasi bekirbam. I will place my Torah within them at the end of days. Yirmiyahu says, I'm going to place my Torah within them. I will write it onto their hearts. It's going to be imprinted on we're going to own the Torah. Vahisi lohem lelokim, I will be a God for them. Vehema yihu li la'am, and they will be a people for me. But Yirmiyah goes on to say, V'lo yilamdu od ish es re'ehu, v'ish es achiv. They will no longer teach each man his fellow and each man his brother. Nobody's going to be teaching anybody about Torah. You want to know why? Because ki kulam yedu osi, for all of them will know me. L'miktanim v'yad gedolam, from their smallest until their greatest, Ne'um Hashem saith the Lord. That's what's going. Hashem was hinting to Avraham Avinu that what I'm doing now by taking the sun out of its box is a precursor for telling the future. It's going to happen at the end of days. From the heat, the wicked will perish. From the light, the righteous from the nations with the Jewish people will be completely filled, knowledgeable of Torah. They're going to know God. Totally. It sounds fantastic with only one disadvantage. What's the problem? Jewish people have always craved to teach other people. We always want to share. What about the obligation? V'shinantam levanecha, teach your children. Elu talmidecha, your students and disciples could be true. What about that mitzvah of teaching others? Lilmo dulalamed, to learn and to teach. Everybody knows everything. Who's going to be teaching who? We're going to crave to share, but why bother? We all know the same thing. We all know everything anyway. So says the Chassam Sofer, what is HaKadosh Baruch Hu going to have to do for the Jewish people who want to fulfill the mitzvah of teaching Torah and craving, wanting to share the Torah? Says the Chassam Sofer, Hashem is going to send us angels at the end of days. And we are going to teach the angels Torah. L'chaim.
Well,
who ever heard? Yes?
Still teach my wife how to cook.
There you go. I guess you maintain your wife as an angel. Look at that, right? So we're going to be teaching. What is it? Whoever heard of such an idea? We're going to teach angels Torah? I mean, the Chassam Sofer says it, but is there an earlier source to this idea? It's right there. It's a prophecy in Parshas Balak. In Parshas Balak 23:23, Bilam, the Gentile prophet, had heavy-duty prophecy. What does he say there? Ko'es yeomer liYaakov. Even now, it is said of Yaakov, Uli Yisrael, and of Israel, Ma po'al kel. What has God wrought? What a great pasuk. What in the world does it mean? What is he talking about? Rashi on the spot cites the Tanchuma number 14 that says, I'll read it to you. Od asid lihios eis. There's going to be a time, ko'es hazos, like this time, asher tigola chibasan le'ein kol, that Hashem is going to reveal to everybody just how much He loves the Jewish people. What's going to happen in the future when Hashem demonstrates this incredible love He has for the Jews? Shehein yoshvin lefanav. We Jews are going to be sitting in front of God. V'lomdin Torah mipiv. Learning Torah from the divine mouth, so to speak, directly from Hashem. We are going to be closer to God than the angels. The angels are going to be behind the mechitza, behind the partition, maybe the room behind. Where could you imagine, like the Shechina in the center? We're all sitting in the inner circle, and the angels are behind us. So says the Midrash that Rashi cites, "Vehem yishalu lahem." The angels will be asking the Jews, "Ma po'al kel." What's God talking about now? We're going to be sitting there watching Hashem, listening, learning from Hashem. We're going to feel these taps on our shoulders. We're not going to want to take our eyes and ears off of the divine. Well, what is it now? And the angels be asking, no, they can't hear what's going on. What's the latest hot off the press chidushim? What's God teaching now? So, okay, we're going to be whispering. We're going to be teaching the angels what Hashem is teaching us. And this is what it means when it says in Yeshaya 30-20, and your eyes will behold your teacher. It's nice to see the face of a Rebbe. It's different than sitting behind. Could you imagine our eyes beholding the Shechina itself? There's the prophecy of Bilam, there is a time when it will be said to the Jewish people, Ma po'al kel, what's God saying now? So here we have a source that we are going to be teaching the angels, so therefore says the Chasam Sofer. This entire storyline, as our Parsha begins, is foretelling the future. When Hashem took the sun out of its container in the time of Avraham, Hashem hinted to Avraham, this is going to be repeated at the end of days. I am going to take the sun out of its container at the end of days. When, in the story, because the sun was taken out, nobody came to the house of Avraham, that was a hint in the future. Nobody's going to come to the Jewish people in order to learn Torah. You want to know why? The wicked have already perished from the heat. The righteous from the nations with the Jews, they know everything anyway, and therefore Hashem says, Avraham, just like you're having pain right now that the guests are not coming, your descendants are going to be pained. They're not going to have anyone to teach. Now, by the way, go back to Avram for a moment. For sure, Avram was concerned about the well-being of every individual. And that's why he dedicated his life to serving on people, feeding them, giving them to drink. But there was kind of a goal to it all as well. Avram used that platform to introduce people to monotheism. In other words, Avraham was definitely concerned with people's physical well-being, but he was also concerned about their spiritual well-being. So having guests was great, but it was also teaching the guests about Torah, about God, and the values of Torah. So just like Hashem said to Avram, you're feeling pain right now. There's nobody coming. Not just there's nobody to serve a meal, there's nobody to teach the ways of Torah. Your descendants are going to be in the same quandary. Nobody's coming. Who are we going to teach? So just like Avraham, I'm sending you angels. The angels you'll invite into your home. You'll teach them Torah. Your descendants will wind up teaching. That's how they'll fulfill the mitzvah. That's how they'll satisfy their craving of wanting to share. They're going to teach the angels Torah, l'chaim. Right. Now, after seeing this approach of the Chasam Sofer, it begs us to ask a few more questions. Question number 3. Where do we find in the storyline with Avraham that he indeed taught the angels Torah? I mean, I see he served them food. I see he's bringing them beverage. Where do you see that Avraham taught them Torah? And question number 4 is, in general, how is it possible for Avraham to teach an angel Torah? Don't angels know Kala Torah Kula? Don't they know the entirety of Torah? But what's the proof? How do we know that angels know everything? It's a Gemara. In Nida, on 30b, Rabbi Samloi says that when an embryo, fetus inside the mother's womb, an angel comes and teaches the child Kol HaTorah Kula, the entirety of Torah. To teach the entire Torah, you've got to know the entire Torah. So angels know everything anyway. So, question 4, what do you mean? We're going to teach the angels? They know it already. What could we possibly teach the angels is question number 4. So says the Shvidei Pinchas that there is an answer to question number 3. The third question was, what do we find Avraham taught the angels Torah? Well, says the Shvidei Pinchas, we find hints that Avraham was teaching them Torah. What are the hints? Because it says in the Parsha 18-4, Yukach no ma'at mayim, that Avraham brought them water. He brought them water. Once Avram brought them water, the Gemara says in Baba Kama 82a, Ein Mayim El Torah. Very often the Torah talks about water. It's not just talking, it is. When the Torah speaks about water, it's speaking about water, but it's not just speaking about water. It is also speaking about the Torah, which is compared to water. And the Gemara cites verses supporting this notion that the Torah is compared to, so therefore when it says that Avraham brought them water, he did bring them water, but it also means to hint to us, he was teaching them Torah. Not only that, but it says that Avram intended on serving them bread. 18-5, Ve'ekchapas lechem, I'll fetch a morsel of bread. The Gemara says in Chagiga, on 14a, that Torah, nimshal alechem, the Torah is compared to bread, and it cites verses to support that idea. So when it says that Avram went to serve them bread, it does mean he wanted to serve them, but it also means he wanted to serve them Torah. There are different types of Torah. Some Torah is compared to water, some compared to bread. So we find hints in the Parsha that Avraham indeed taught the angels Torah. Although we've just answered question 3, I'm going to ask question 3 again. Yes, I'm okay with hints. We love Ramazim. Don't we love the codes? Question 3 is there a source that says explicitly that Avraham taught the angels Torah? And if there is, where is that source? So for this chevra, let's turn to a midrash. Found in a Shmos Rabbah, Parshas Yisro. It's on the verse in Yisro 19-3, which says, Moshe Allah Elho Elokim. And Moshe ascended to God. He went up on top of the mountain to bring the Torah down. So the Midrash says, once you say that pasuk, it reminds us of a verse in Tehillim, Alisa lamorom shavisa shevi. You ascended on high and you've taken captives. To whom is the verse referring to? Who ascended on high? Moshe Rabbeinu. What did Moshe take into captivity? It's the Torah that he brought down from the angelic realm to this earth. So the Midrash describes what was happening when Moshe went up on high. Ba'osa Shah, at that time, Bikshu Malachei Hashares Lifgoa b'Moshe. The angels wanted to harm Moshe. You want to know why they wanted to harm Moshe? The angels, they had a claim. We're holy. The Torah is holy. The angelic realm is holy. Leave the holy Torah in a holy place. We will be the true guardians of the Torah. What are you going to give the Torah to them? Those physical creatures down there. It gets in the way. Leave the Torah here. So since Moshe threatened they're possessing the Torah, they wanted to harm Moshe, so he wouldn't be able to take the Torah down to us. So at this point, now we've heard the story before, but at this point the Midrash deviates from the Gemara. We're familiar with the Gemara in Shabbos that says the Gemara takes one track. The Gemara says at that time Hashem told Moshe, no, you wanted to defend, prove that you deserve the Torah. So Moshe said, I'm afraid to even engage in a conversation with the angels. The fire comes out of their mouths. They'll burn me to a sin, to a crisp. Hashem tells Moshe, grab hold of my throne of glory, ancient form of like a force field, and Moshe engages. He starts debating. He proves the Torah doesn't apply to the angels. The Midrash takes a turn from that story. The Midrash says, what did Hashem do? Asabo HaKadosh Baruch Hu klastirin shel panav shel Moshe domel Avraham. Hashem turned Moshe Rabbeinu's face to look just like the face of Avraham Avinu. Now there's an Avraham look-alike in heaven. And then Hashem turns to the angels. Omar lahem HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem says to the angels, Yatem mitbayeshin heimenu. Aren't you embarrassed in front of this man? That's a great expression in Israel, by the way. Right? You want to buy an appliance and you give an account or that's how you drive. Right? It's a great. It comes out of the midrash. Hashem says to the angels, "You're not embarrassed in front of this man. You want to harm this man? Lo zel shi'aratem etzlo." Isn't this the man to whose home you went down to? V'achaltem betoch beso? Wasn't this the man that invited you into his home? Isn't this the man that gave you a meal? That's how you repay his kindness? You want to harm this man? It's Avraham. So you'll say it's tricking the angels. It's not so tricking. It's to make a point. It's a descendant of Avraham. You should have a koros hatov. Right? So what did Hashem want from the angels? You had a meal by this man's house. Be quiet. Let him take the Torah. You owe him. Let him take the Torah down. So the angels have nothing to say. And then Hashem turns to Moshe. Omer HaKadosh Baruch Hu LaMoshe, Lo nitna lecha Torah ela b'schos Avraham. You should know something. The Torah was given to the Jews only in the merit of Avraham Avinu. That's what the Midrash concludes. Now, we have to ask ourselves question 5 on this Midrash. L'chaim. Question 5 is, how could Hashem say to the angels, you're not embarrassed? Right? Meaning what? What was Hashem saying to the angels? You had a meal by this man's house. Since you had a meal by his house, let him take the Torah. What? The angels could have so easily responded, Ozma. So we had a meal by the man's house. When we were there, we said thank you 1,000 times. What do you want, another thank you? I'll write you a check. I'll pay for the whole meal. Just because I had a meal by the man's house, I have to give up that which is most precious to me, give up my life? I've got a claim here on the Torah. I don't have the right to stand up for myself. What? One meal? I owe the guy my life. Torah, ki em chayenu. It's my life. Why did Hashem expect the angels to, how did their argument just dissipate because they had a meal by this man? What's going on? That's question 5. So comes along the Yitav Panim. Who was the Yitav Panim? Rabbi Yekusiel Yehuda Teitelbaum, who was the Zayda of the first Satmar Rebbe. He was Rabbi Yekusiel Yehuda was the chief rabbi in Siget, Romania. He born in 1808 and passed on 1891. And in Yitav Panim, he answers this 5th question on the Midrash by citing a Mishnah like from left field. Quotes a Mishnah in Gittin, 22b. What does the Mishnah say? Hakol kisherin lichtov es haget. Everybody is kosher to write a divorce contract. Anybody. Afilu cheresh shotav akatan, even a person is deaf, or a person is mentally challenged, or even a minor. Anybody can write a get. Anybody. No big deal. Anybody can write a get. So the Gemara asks on the Mishnah. The Gemara came after them. The Gemara asks them, what do you mean? Anybody can write a get? Wait a minute. There are thoughts you have to have. The sofer, the scribe has to have thoughts. It's for this couple, not for that couple. The Shema has to be done for, right? And v'hol lav b'nei dayaninhu. Take a minor, for example. The kid is 6 years old. What does he know? Does he grasp what's going on? Can he have kavana? He's not matured yet. He needs a certain level of da'as, of knowledge. So says Rav Huna, to defend the Mishnah from the Gemara's attack, the Mishnah means shaya gadol omed al gabav. What does omed al gabav mean? You take a Jewish male adult who does grasp what's going on, and he stands over the child and instructs the child what to do. Okay, now write this word and think this. It's for these two people, and you have to. And so therefore, the child, since he's being instructed every moment, there's an adult standing over, Omed al Gabav, standing over him, telling him what to do. So the child, links into the das of the adult, and therefore, in that way, even a child can write a get. Now, what in the world does this have to do with our storyline? Says the Yitav Panim, it's got everything to do with the story. That, angels are, of course, involved in avodas Hashem, constantly serving Hashem on very lofty levels. However, there's something that angels cannot serve Hashem with. Angels are not familiar how to serve Hashem with food. They don't know what it means to serve Hashem with beverage. It doesn't exist in their angelic realm. Angels do not know how to serve Hashem with gashmius, with physicality, with materialism. And therefore, Avraham was teaching the angels how to eat and drink l'shem shamayim. He was teaching them the kavanos, the thoughts a person is supposed to have when they sit down to eat a meal. Avram was like a gadol omed al gabav, someone that grasps what's going on, who stands over others that do not understand and instructs. That's why the pasuk says in our parsha in 18-8, "Vu omed aleim tachasa." Avram was standing over them under the tree. How did I understand that pasuk until today? He's waiting on them. You know, the towel over his arm with a silver tray under his fingertips. He was waiting. But it says, Ditaf panim. It means more than that. Omeid aleim. Omeid al gaba. He was standing over, instructing them. Now take a taste. Put it in your mouth. Now, it tastes really good, right? So that's not really the main point of this. See, whatever Avraham taught them, we're going to now use the energy to serve Hashem. Who knows what he taught them? He taught them the tzotzos of Kedusha, sparks of light. He was teaching them how to eat l'shem shamayim. I think Gadi might be asking, angels don't even eat. Hold on, we're catching up to you. L'chaim. Like that, huh? Saw it in the eyes. Saw that coming. Baruch Hashem. It's an excellent question. Hold on. And therefore, Avraham was teaching them how to eat b'kedusha u'b'tahara, with sanctity and purity. And the angels ate based on the kavanos of Avraham Avinu. And that, says the Yitaf Panim, is the answer to question number 5. Question 5 was, look, Hashem told the angels, aren't you embarrassed? You had a meal by this man's house. So be quiet. Let him take the Torah. What? I'll thank him again if you want, but to give up my life? Come on, how much do I owe the guy? Everything for one meal? Is there a limit? Come on. Kihem chayenu. So he says the answer is like this. What was the angels had a claim? What was their claim to the Torah? We're spiritual, the Torah is spiritual, leave it up here in the domain of spirituality. That's where the Torah belongs. Give it to people, they're just a bunch of Gumbies down there. They're a bunch of like clay figures. They're physical, it gets in the way. Physical gets in the way of Avodas Hashem. Hashem says it's precisely because those people are physical, the Torah is going down there. There's a whole dimension of fulfilling Torah you angels will never be able to fulfill. Precisely, that was the taina. When Hashem said, you know, isn't this the man that you're radatem metzlo? That's the lashon of the midrash. Isn't it the man that you went down to him? It meant he was hinting, Hashem was hinting to the angels, when you went to this man's house, it was a yerida. Why was it a yerida? Well, you'll say, well, they were in heaven and coming to earth. Geographically is going down. That's true. But it's not only that. Not only do they come on like to eating, you'll say that to come on to eating, that's going down for an angel. It's more than that. It's because at that meal, you know what became clear? That Avraham knows more about Torah than the angels do. The angels were put into their places. That was a yerida. That Avraham was able to teach you how to serve Hashem with the materialistic world, it's something that you don't know, you're not familiar with. And therefore, who omeid aleihem, Avraham was the one, right, who's certainly it's worthy of giving people the Torah, dafka because they are physical, people will be able to serve Hashem with eating, with drinking, at a tish and malachim. They're the ones, and that's the answer to question 5. That's why the taina, the claim of the angels, was batil and mavutal. That's why it was nullified, because they ate by Avraham Avinu. And that's the Hashem meant. You ate by the man's house. Not that you owe him. What became clear at Avraham's house? That he knows so much more about the Torah than you do. It's a whole dimension you can't fulfill. That's why we're giving the Torah to those people, those Gumbies, those people made of physicality. That's why. And based on this Yitav Panim, we've got the answer to question number 3, I think, right? We wanted a source. Where does it say that Avraham taught the angels to? We got it right here. This midrash, with the commentaries to the midrash, that Avraham was able to teach. That's what Hashem meant to the angel. You went down to this man's house, and it was a yerida for you because he was teaching you Torah. So you see that Avraham, we have a source, not just a remez. We have a source, this midrash, that Avraham taught them Torah. It also answers the 4th question. The 4th question was, angels know everything. What could you possibly teach an angel? Yeah, you're right. Angels know everything but what they don't know. They don't know. I know everything but what I don't know. I don't know how to serve Hashem with physicality, and that's what it was that Avraham was able to teach them, and therefore says the Shvili Pinchas, just how this fits in beautifully to the Chassam Sofer that we began with today, that in the future this whole story is a precursor to the end of days. In the future, you and I, Be'ezras Hashem, very soon, are going to teach the angels Torah. What are we going to teach them? We're going to teach them how to serve Hashem with Gashmios. How to serve Hashem with physicality. The angels will be our Talmidim. We're going to be their Rebbeim. They're going to learn from us. And therefore it comes out, L'chaim, that the entire story of Avraham and the Malachim was a hachana. It was preparing, setting the pace, paving the way for the end of days, that just like Avraham taught to the angels what it meant how to have a tish, how to sit and serve Hashem with eating, with drinking, and so on, that's what we're going to do with the angels at the end of days. Now this has been one answer for question number 4. There's going to be right now a second answer to question number 4, which was, what could we possibly teach the angels if they know everything? And here Rabbi Tzadok HaKohen Rabinowitz of Lublin, which is a place in Poland. He was born in 1823, passed on in the year 1900, recognized to be one of the great, deep Hasidic masters and thinkers. Rabbi Tzadok says, before I even share with you what he says, I'm just going to preface a few words before Rabbi Tzadok says his bomb. You know, angels are not accustomed to chesed, to doing kindness with each other. Because angels don't visit each other in hospitals, because there are no hospitals in the angelic realm. There is no illness up there. So there's no Bikur Cholim. Visiting this, they don't do that. They don't practice that. There are no pushka, there are no tzedakah boxes in Shamayim. There's no economy. That doesn't make any sense. Money doesn't have any worth or value. Nothing. There's no tzedakah. You never have a malach saying to him, hey, come to me for Shabbos. You're out of a home, you're kicked out, I have an extra basement, it's a separate apartment, stay by me until you get yourself to... Doesn't exist by malachim. Now Rabbi Tzadok says, you want to know, angels are self-sufficient. They're completely independent. Rabbi Tzadok says, this, to answer the fourth question in the second way, you want to know what it was that Avraham taught the angels? He taught them the teachings of chesed. Avraham introduced to the malachim something that was very foreign to them. And when it says in our Parsha 18-5 that Avraham said, Vo'etcha pas lechem, I'm going to fetch a morsel of bread, v'sa'adu libchem, and you'll satiate your hearts, achar ta'avo, and afterwards you will go. Rabbi Tzadok says what? It says, v'sa'adu libchem, I'm going to satiate your hearts. That expression of satiate your hearts is used when a person is hungry or starving. A person is hungry, you can satiate them. But angels...
But what are they going to do with it? It's like me eating Chinese. What am I going to do with the Chinese?
Hold on. Let me first address, God, your previous question, because we're coming up to it right now. Okay? Let me ask you, did the angels actually eat at the house of Avraham? Did they eat or didn't they eat? No, they did. 2 answers already, Baruch Hashem. 2 Jews, 2 eggs, Baruch Hashem. Right? The answer is yes, you're right. You're right. Right? And how could that be? You're also right. Right? Everyone right? The Gemara says in Bava Metzia, near in Ka'ochlin, they weren't eating, it appeared as if they were eating. They made believe. The Tosafists on the spot cited Midrash and said, no. Ochlin mamish. They actually ate. No matter how you learn, whether they made believe or they actually ate, they didn't have to eat. They only did that because it's the minhag amakom. That's the minhag. We learned that from this story. Moshe goes on high, he doesn't eat, that's the minhag. They don't eat in Shemaim, I don't eat. You come here, people, you eat, do the minhag. When in Rome, the Jewish version of when in Rome, right, you do the minhag amakom. Either way, angels don't have to eat. They're not hungry. So how could it say, V'sa'adu, I'm going to satiate them? Satiate? So Rabbi Tzadok asks, it almost sounds like there's a sheker, God forbid, in the Torah. No need to satiate. Rabbi Tzadok says, oh yeah, Avram did satiate them. Not their bellies. He satiated their souls, whatever that means for a malach. Avraham, the Torah, to answer the fourth question in a second way, the teachings that Avraham shared with them, he taught them about chesed, a whole dimension about chesed. And Rabbi Tzadok goes on to say that after just one meal with Avraham Avinu, the angels were so infused with chesed. Wow, what they got, you have to imagine, like the meal of Avraham Avinu. Kulo chesed, completely chesed, covering every possible base, like whatever the person needs, feeling comfortable, he got it. Kulo. They were so inspired by Avraham's chesed, they were bursting with chesed. And then they were sent to Sodom and Amorah. Now, Sodom and Amorah, that society was the antithesis of Avraham Avinu. You see, in that society, doing chesed carried with it the penalty of death, the capital punishment. By the way, that didn't just happen in a vacuum. There was a philosophy in Sodom. What? Invite the guy to your house? Maybe he's dangerous. He might hurt your wife and your children. There's a law, no guests. You're going to give $1 to a guy on the street? You're supporting welfare. Let him get off his chair and get a job. Interesting how some of those reasonings even resonate with us today. That wasn't Avraham. Avraham asks no questions. Give, give, give.
He's being unproductive. He can go get a job.
Right? That was Sodom. That's what Sodom was. That's what they felt. They made a law. No giving. And if you do, death penalty. There was a svara. Lot had defected the house of Avraham, bought into Sodom philosophy. He bought into it. He believed in it. Then the angels. Now the angels, after they were just by Avraham Avinu, they were like, wow, all this new Torah of chesed, like new Balei Tshuva, they're like bursting, whoa, chesed. And when they met Lot could just read it, see in their faces, wow, they looked like they were so giving. He could pick up the energy. Lot was affected by the burst of chesed energy exuding off of the angels' bodies that they were, living in at the time, that it triggered something in Lot. Lot, he took a trip down memory lane. Oh, wow, I could see that chesed. Look at these guys. I could tell. Such balei chesed. Wow. Remember the good old days, reminiscing when we was with Avraham, how we used to set the whole place up for the guests and giving. What fun we had. So Lot was inspired to do chesed again from the angels who were inspired by Avraham. And that's why on the spot, Lot changed from his current philosophy. He said, you know what? I'm going to invite you into my home. And what gave? Lot, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're putting yourself in mortal danger. Well, what happened? He was affected. The Avraham rubbed off on the angels. It impacted them. And this impressed Lot that on the spot, you know what? Even though it's dangerous, come, we'll take a different way. We're going to sneak her. I got to do chesed again. In other words, that, by the way, gave Lot an added zechus, merit to be saved from Sodom. He was moser nefesh. He sacrificed. That he was sacrificed to that chesed. Wasn't stopped. And more than that, the chesed that Lot did activated the Messianic spark that was buried within Lot. Don't forget, later on in the story, Lot, with his first oldest daughter, had a child. That child's name was Moab, who was a man who grew to be the father of a nation called the Moabites. There was later a lady named Ruth, a Moabite, who converted to Judaism, marries Boaz, becomes the great-grandmother of David, and the Davidic dynasty culminates with the Mashiach. So the Messianic spark was buried laying dormant within Lot. What activated the spark? The moment Lot began to do chesed with such mesirus nefesh, it activated the Messianic spark. Why? Why does the Messianic spark have to be activated by chesed? Because when Mashiach comes, it's going to be the greatest chesed to this world. Isn't it? When Mashiach comes, it's a package. No more war. No more illness. No more poverty. It's a tremendous chesed. Chesed breeds the chesed. It's what happens. Chesed brings out the best in people. And that was certainly true by Lot. It brought out the Messianic Spark. And therefore, says the Shvilei Pinchas, based on Rabbi Tzadok HaKohen Milublin L'chaim, we see this incredible power of Avraham Avinu's chesed and his hospitality, the impact it made on these angels. Hashem typically will appoint, now there are different types of angels, by the way. Hashem will typically appoint a compassionate angel to carry out an act of compassion. Hashem will select a harsh angel to carry out an act of harshness. And what do we find? Let's see the Gemara in Bava Metzia. That Gavriel was the one sent to destroy Sodom. The Gemara asks, Man ninu shloshan, who are these three men? The Gemara says, Michael, Gavriel, Raphael. They weren't men, they were angels. Michael, Gavriel, and Raphael. Michael Michael came to inform Sarah about the child. Raphael Avram. Raphael came to heal Avraham. And Gavriel Azil Mahafche Sodom. Gavriel came to destroy Sodom. The Gemara attacks this. The Gemara asks, doesn't it say in our Parsha 19-1, Vayavo Shnei Hamalachim Sodoma? The two angels came to say, wait a minute. There were three angels that came to Avraham's home. Why are there only two going to Sodom? I know what you're going to say. One of them did his mission. So he took off. Which one did his mission? Raphael. Raphael healed Avraham. So he took off. So the Gemara's question is, if Raphael did his mission and took off, then Michael also did his mission of informing Sarah. He should have also taken off. The Gemara's question is, why does it say there are two? There should be one angel on the way to Sodom. That's the Gemara's kasha. So the Gemara answers, you're right, Michael did do his job, but the Azil Michael Bahadei L'Shazvei L'Lot. Now, after doing that one mission, he was appointed to do a different mission. Angels can only do one mission at a time, but they can do many missions over their life, one at a time. After doing the mission with informing Sarah, he was appointed with a new mission, now save Lot. So that's why there were two angels on the way to Sodom, Gavriel to destroy Sodom, but Michael to save Lot. So then we see from this whole Gemara that what? That Gavriel was the one who was sent to destroy Sodom. We said before, what's the rule of thumb? Hashem will appoint a harsh angel to do an act of harshness. The Gavriel was the harsh angel. You see it in his name, Gavriel, from the word Gevura. Gevura, strength, might, power, the qualities needed to do an act of harshness. If that's the case, why do we find that Gavriel was an angel of compassion? Where do we find he was an angel of compassion? It's coming up right now in question number 6. Let's see this. What does it say? Let's go back to that verse in 19-1. The two angels came to Sodom ba'erev. First I was asking about the two, now I ask ba'erev, in the evening. Rashi cites the Midrash. It's a Yeshivas Rabbi that asks, in the evening, how long does it take an angel to go from Hebron, where Avraham was at the time, to Sodom? Like a few moments. So the pasuk says they arrived at Sodom ba'erev in the evening. A whole day. What were you doing? Where were you? It takes a whole day to get to Sodom. It's not a huge walk for a person, let alone an angel. The Gemara says, Ela malachi rachamim hayu. These angels were compassionate angels. Umamtinim shema yuchal avram l'lamed aleim sanigoria. They were waiting. They saw Avraham was davening, praying on behalf of the Sodomite populace, and so they were waiting. Who knows? Maybe he'll be a defending attorney. Maybe we won't have to even destroy them. We're hoping Be'ezras Hashem. So the Midrash says these were compassionate angels. Question number 6. Wait a minute. The Gemara says above Mitzvah, Hashem sent Gavriel to destroy Sodom. Hashem sends harsh angels to do harsh tasks, harsh jobs. Gavriel, Gevura. He was a malach of din, harsh, strict justice. That's from the Gemara. The Midrash says a malach of compassion. That same Gavriel's waiting. Maybe I don't have to let's wait. Maybe he'll defend, and maybe we won't have to destroy. Well, that doesn't sound like Gavriel. It's out of character. Will the real Gavriel please stand up? What are you? Says the Shvili Pinchas, based on Rabbi Tzadok that we just had a moment ago, he says the answer is yes. No contradiction whatsoever. The Gemara is absolutely right that Hashem appointed Gavriel to destroy Sodom, and Gavriel was at first a Malach of Din. He was. That's what he was sent. However, something happened to Gavriel along the way. He had an experience with Avraham Avinu. And in that experience, when he met with Avraham Avinu, it changed Gavriel forever. Changed him. It's a changed, I can't say changed man, it's a changed angel. There was so much chesed going on at Avraham's home. Avraham transformed Gavriel from a malach of din to a malach of rachamim. He became a malach of compassion. That's why after the experience, maybe we don't have to be so quick and so harsh. Maybe there was a change. And by the way, says the Shvili Pinchas, this answers question number 2. The second question was, I understand why Michael went to Avraham's home to inform Sarah. That's where Sarah was. I understand Raphael to heal. That's where Avraham was. Why did Hashem even send Gavriel to the home of Avraham? What mission was Gavriel supposed to carry out to the home of Avraham? And the answer is, Gavriel was not supposed to do anything to Avraham. Avraham was supposed to do something to Gavriel. Hashem wanted Gavriel, go ahead. I want you to see this fellow. Experience, whoa, Avraham, so full of chesed. I wanted to impact even a Gavriel, that even Gavriel will be so bursting with chesed, he's going to rub off on Lot. In order that Lot does the chesed to help him give the zechus of being saved and to activate the Messianic Spark so that the ultimate chesed happens to this world. And that's what happened. The chesed of Lot brought out the best in him. That was the spark of the Mashiach. And all of this fits in to the Chasam Sofer that we began with today, L'chaim, that Hashem sent angels to Avraham Avinu in order that Avraham would be able to teach them Torah, and with that was a hachana, a way of preparing. It's breaking the ice, setting the pace, paving the way, setting the pattern for the future, and the Jewish people at the end of the days will be able to teach Torah to the Malachim as well. What are we going to teach the angels? We are going to teach them Torah's chesed. Something about doing acts of kindness. The Torah we teach them, it's called, by the way, this expression, Torah's chesed. Where do we find that expression? Like the earliest source in literature, where does it come from? Does it sound familiar? Torah's chesed? Yeah, Mishlei, the end of Mishlei, what we call Eishes Chayil, that we sing on Friday nights. There it is, Mishlei 31:26. Piha pascha bechachma. She opens her mouth with wisdom, the Torah's chesed al lashona, and the teachings of kindness on her tongue. Torah's chesed. By the way, who wrote this? You'll say it's in Mishlei, so Shlomo HaMelech wrote it. But the Tanchuma says in Chayei Sarah, number 4, that really this section of Mishlei had a much earlier author. Avraham Avinu was the one that composed the Eishes Chayil as his eulogy for his late wife Sarah. And that's what he said or sang at her levaya. You find today people will sing Eishes Chayil at the passing of certain women, and the Midrash goes and compares the various expressions to Sarah Imenu, and it's not for nothing that we find Torah's chesed in a eulogy about Sarah, because after all, Sarah Imenu also equally dedicated her life with her husband Avraham to do chesed, unlimited chesed, and so therefore Torah's chesed. Now, the Shvili Pinchas points out, you have to say that in the future we're going to be teaching the angels Torah. Why do we have to say that? Because why did Hashem even bother creating angels to begin with? In a global sense. Why? The answer, he says, is in order to assist the Jewish people. Hashem created Malach to help us. How do we know? That's like the general purpose of angels being created, because it says in a favorite psalm, Psalm 91, verse 11, Ki malachav yitzavelach, he will charge his angels to you, l'shmarcha b'chol derachecha, to protect you in all of your ways. Why did Hashem charge malachim? To protect us. Now, throughout Galus, throughout the exile, in all the exiles, You know, angels have come. They've come to assist us from time to time, whether we are aware or not aware. They come to help us. How have angels assisted us throughout the Galios, the exiles? Well, sometimes they came to teach us Torah. You know, angels throughout Galus have typically been on a much higher spiritual level than people. I mean, there are exceptions. There have been special tzaddikim, you know, higher. But for most people, a malach today, we look at them being higher than we are. We look at them like that. They're more spiritual than us, right? Angels have come to teach us Torah. How do we know angels come to teach us Torah? One example, Rabbi Yosef Karo, the author of the Shulchan Aruch, the Code of Jewish Law, chief rabbi in Tzfat in the 16th century. Did you know that an angel came to him regularly to teach him Torah? Did you know he even wrote a sefer, all the teachings he received from that angel? Rabbi Yosef Karo called the angel a Magid, because it would tell him all these things, Magid, Shiyagid. And there's a sefer today, go to the Sfar, Magid Mesharim. It's a sefer, all the teachings of a malach that he received from the malach. It's unbelievable, I have it at home. Magid Mesharim from Rabbi Yosef Karo, right? L'chaim. Sometimes angels came to teach us Torah. Other times they came to save our lives. How was I able to jump over that ditch? I think it's humanly impossible. I don't know. Angels have come from time to time. Now that's during Galus, during the exiles. We've needed the assistance of angels from time to time. But when the Mashiach comes and the Geul is here, we won't need angels to assist us, to save us from tragedies and trouble. There aren't going to be any tzaros. We're not going to have problems. So, teach us Torah. What? We're going to be on a higher level of Torah than the angels. We had the whole thing before. We're going to be teaching them Torah, right? So, if that's the case, what are angels? What purpose? If the whole purpose was to serve man, to serve us, how are they going to serve us? Well, the answer is, there's one thing that we're going to need, going to crave at the end of days. Somebody to teach. We're all going to be on the same page. We know everything completely. Hashem will send us angels to teach. We're going to teach them. What are we going to teach them? Something they're not so familiar with. Maybe a little bit, but not really. We've got the experience. We're going to teach them Mamish Torah Chesed. You know something? When we teach those angels Torah, we're going to give them an aliyah. We're going to elevate them. We're going to make them go higher, which sounds shocking because you and I have a common understanding that angels are stationary on one spiritual plateau. They don't move. How do we know? That's what it says in Zechariah 3-7. "V'nasati lecha malchim beina omdim ha'eleh." I will grant you strides among the angels who stand here. Zechariah calls the angels omdim. They stand in one place. It doesn't mean they don't move around. They fly around. It means spiritually they stand in one place. They're created on a madrega and they stay on that madrega. There's no growing and improving by malachim. And I just said a moment ago that when we teach them Torah, we're going to give them an aliyah. So how could that be? I thought angels stay on one level. Says the Imre Yosef, what a gavalt. He cites the Ziddich of a Rebbe, the Rimna of a Rebbe. The Imre Yosef says that angels are called omdim. They're stationary on their own. Leave an angel to his own devices, he can never lift himself to another level. But through a tzaddik can lift an angel to an even higher level. On their own they can't, but with our assistance, we can even help the angels. Where do you see such a thing, L'chaim? Yes, where do you see that they were lifted to a higher madrega?
Oh, he taught them chesed.
Okay, he did. How do you see that they were lifted to a higher madrega based on that knowledge?
Well, they were able to go into Saddam and
okay, good.
Influence.
Excellent. I like that. Now let's share even another source to that. What does the Gemara say in Sukkah? In Sukkah 28a, the Gemara says, Amru Allah val Yonasan ben Uziel. They used to say about Yonasan ben Uziel. Now, you've heard of this Tanoic sage, Yonasan ben Uziel. Who was his Rebbe? His Rebbe was Hillel. The Gemara says Hillel had 80 students. The lowest of them was Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. The greatest of them was Yonasan ben Uziel. So the Gemara says, okay, let's take the smallest of the students, right? The weakest of the students, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. What did he know? The Gemara goes through listing all the things that he mastered. I mean, it goes on and on. The list goes on and on. Mikra, Mishnah, Gemara, Halacha, Agadata. And then he starts mentioning things like, for example, one example, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was an expert at the language that palm trees have when they communicate with each other. Now, you know how Rashi knows everything about everything? Not just about wine, but like about everything. You know, whatever the subject is, the Renaissance, he knows everything. Astronomy, astrology, everything, right? Rashi here says, Eini Yodeya. He's got no idea what the topic is. He waves the white flag. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was a master at it, right? So the Gemara says, if that's what Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was, he was a master at everything. There was no stone left unturned. What was the greatest student like? That's what the Gemara kicks in. Amru alav al Yonasan ben Uziel. They said about the greatest disciple of Hillel, Yonasan ben Uziel, when he sat and he was involved in the study of Torah, kol of sheporeach alav miyad nisraf. Any bird that would fly over his head would be singed in a second.
Who was that?
Yonasan ben Uziel.
But I thought the Chochmah was not too many.
There are many people that are bothered with this Gemara like Gadi is. Very bothered. It means to say his Torah was so far bright, on fire, that the angels would be burned to a crisp. So people are bothered, as Zach says, because he wants to learn Torah, an innocent bird has to lose its life. What about Tsar LeBalei Chayim? Is it Doraisa, the Rabbanah, it's a machlokas in the Gemara, Bava Metzia, right? But Tsar Balei Chayim, well, come on. Torah should be giving life, not taking away life. What's going on? Animal rights, right? So Imri Yosef says a gevalt, unbelievable interpretation to this Gemara. It'll never be the same. We just have to know two pieces of information first. The first piece of information is that the Hebrew word oaf does not just translate as a bird. The word oaf can also translate as a malach, as an angel. I mean, birds fly, angels fly. There's a comparison there. Where do we find that? It says in Koheles 10-20, Ki of hashamayim yolechas hakol, for a bird of the skies may carry the sound, ubal haknofayim yagid davar, and some winged creature may betray the matter. Now, there's a bird that's going to be carrying our conversations. What bird can carry a conversation? Your parrot? Maybe a word or two. Not the whole conversation. Who can carry our conversations and share and repeat word for word when the time comes for that to be shared? And we get betrayed. That's what it says. You get betrayed. The Zohar in Parshas Pekudei says that the word oaf in this pasuk does not mean a bird. It means malach. It means an angel. Angels can remember and carry the whole conversation, repeat the whole thing verbatim, when and if necessary. That's the first piece of information. Oaf can mean a malach. The second piece of information is, l'chaim, we talk about angels. Wait, there are different categories of angels. It's not just like there are angels. There are different types of angels. Who says? The Rambam. How dare you bring the Rambam into some Kabbalistic teachings? The rational thinker, right? The Rambam Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah, Perek Beis Halacha Zayin. The Rambam says there are 10 categories of angels. The Rambam combed through all of Tanakh, all the scriptural verse, and he found that there are 10 categories. Angels are called 10 different expressions. Would you like to hear them? Fine, I'll go through them right now. Maybe a little quick. You watch. Here they go. In descending order, from the highest ranking angel to the lowest. The highest ranking angel, they're called Chayos HaKodesh. I know little kids, we call them Bevilta Chayos. They're the Chayos HaKodesh. I'm just kidding. Anyway, so the highest ranking angel, Chayos HaKodesh. Number 2, Ofanim. Number 3, Erelim. Number 4, Chashmalim. The word Chashmal, electricity, right? I want to slow down 5 and 6. We need 5 and 6 for our purposes right now today. 5 and 6. 5 are called Srafim, Seraphites. 6 are called Malachim, angels. You and I use Malachim as a generic word for all angels, but it's a specific category. They come in number 6. Just to finish the list, number 7, Elohim. That word is not holy, it's mundane. Who else is called Elohim in the Torah? Judges, Sanhedrin, don't curse Elohim. It's not God, representatives of God. Number 8 are called B'nai Elohim. Number 9 are called Kruvim, like we had on top of the Aron HaKodesh. And number 10 are called Ishim. from the word ish. I think they're closest to man, the lowest ranking angel, closest to man, Ishim. Okay, our purpose is we have to know numbers 5 and 6. 5, Srafim. 6, Malachim. Now that we know that, different categories, says the Imre Yosef, let's go back to that Gemara in Sukkah. Let's read it again. Yonas ben Uziel, when he said that he was involved in the study of Torah, Kol Of Sheporeach Olav Miyad Nisraf. How did we learn the pshat? Simplistically, any bird flew over his head was burned to a crisp. That's only one translation. There's an alternative translation, L'chayim. When it says Kol Of, any bird, the first piece of information was a bird can refer to what? To a malach. But not just a generic malach. I'm saying specific. Malach is the 6th category. So it says Kol Of. Sheporech, kol malach, any malach that flew over his head, miyad nisraf. Nisraf does not mean burned, it's a contracted word. It means naaseh saraf. He became a seraphite. The word saraf is found inside the word nisraf. The nun is for naaseh. Any malach, category 6, that flew over his head, miyad, Naaseh Saraf. He was promoted to become a seraphite. No birds got hurt. We're not talking about birds. We're talking about malachim. That although a malach on his own can't lift himself and grow at a higher level, but through the assistance of a tzaddik, yes, they can. And that is something that we are going to be able to do with the malachim that we teach at the end of days. And what are we going to teach them? According to Rabbi Tzadok, we're going to teach them Torah's chesed. We're not holding yet at the final where we hope to be there really soon. But before teaching the angels about chesed, how imperative it is to teach each other about chesed, to teach ourselves and others. And therefore, as a means of a practical application of this whole teaching, may I suggest, if we're not doing this already, that maybe we should make for ourselves a seder in Torah's chesed, to learn about chesed. One idea comes to mind. The Chafetz Chaim has a sefer called Ahavas Chesed, love of kindness, loving kindness. Under the chapter Gemilos Chasadim, in chapters 12 through 18, he talks about Bikur Cholim, visiting the sick, giving tzedakah, hachnosas orchim, hospitality, doing acts of chesed, and just by maybe learning a little bit more about chesed, I mean, halachically, and then what it does, and the depth, and who knows, then maybe the knowledge will help motivate us to do even more acts of chesed, that we should be filled with chesed, and we should reach out to others, and make an impact and an impression on others with chesed, that certainly by the time Mashiach comes, we'll be able, well equipped to teach the malachim at that time, so may we all be blessed, to make our father Avraham even prouder of us, by learning from his ways of chesed, growing to such a degree that we'll even be able to teach the angels a thing or two about harnessing all of Gashmius for chesed. It's called Torah's chesed, when Hashem will take the sun out of its encasing to purify the world and bring us the holy spark of David HaMelech, culminating with the Mashiach, who will lift us all to even greater heights. Veyeira, Amen.